Good afternoon, everybody, and a very warm welcome to this instalment of our Careers Conversations webinar series. My name's Jamie. I am part of the business development team here at ICAS. I've got a great panel of speakers joining us today to go through the RGU Graduate Apprentice Scheme. The event should last about an hour, and we'll be going through a bit of information on the scheme itself, letting you know some more of the details about it, what the studying looks like, and some general information that might help you on your way to hopefully sealing a position as a graduate apprentice on the scheme. Some high level details at the moment. The Robert Gordon's University Graduate Apprentice Scheme is a 5-year long course. You study for about 3.5 years with Robert Gordon's University online before then coming across to ICAS and studying your CA qualification. So you get 2 qualifications. The scheme itself has been running for about 7 years now. One of the big benefits of the scheme as well is that everything that you're learning, you're going back to the workplace and applying that in a professional setting to really consolidate that. And all whilst earning a salary as well, which is a great part as well. So I've got some housekeeping bits and pieces just to run through first before inviting the speakers here today to the stage. So before we begin, just wanted to mention you can submit questions at any time through the Q&A facility, which you'll see there can be accessed just at the top of the screen. Questions can be submitted anonymously. We will be saving all your questions just until the end of the webinar for the live Q&A section at the end there. You can join the conversation today as well through the chat box, which can be accessed also at the top of the screen there. You'll see that there. This allows you to comment or discuss with fellow attendees on some of the matters that we'll cover in today's webinar. We are recording this webinar so that we can make it available for others to come on and join and to watch on demand afterwards. So just in case you want to refer back to that at any point, if there's bits you've perhaps missed and you want to come back and hear that, you can come back and access that recording. We'll send that out by email afterwards. Everyone on that webinar today is automatically muted, so there's no need to be concerned about any background noise wherever you are. We look forward to receiving your questions throughout the course of the webinar, and of course we will try to get answers for as many of them as possible. Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to invite our speakers today. We're joined by Lindsay Stewart, Senior Lecturer at Robert Gordon's University, Laura Gruber, who manages the apprentice scheme at Gallagher Insurance in Glasgow, and Aaron Fitzpatrick. Aaron has just completed his the CA part of the qualification, so nearing the end of his RGU Graduate Apprentice Scheme, and he works at CT in Edinburgh. Absolute pleasure to have you all here with us today. I've done a small introduction to you all, but it'd be nice to hear a little bit more about you as well. It'd be good to hear a little bit about who you are, who you work for, what it is you do, and your connection to the scheme. So, Lindsay, I'll come to you first, if that's okay.
Hi everyone, welcome to this webinar talking about the Graduate Apprenticeship in Accounting at RGU. I myself am a CA. I qualified in the last millennium actually, and then moved into education, and I've been at Robert Gordon's for about 27 years. I was one of the team members who created the scheme in 2018 to 2019, where we first launched, and I am the current course leader of the Graduate Apprenticeship. I think it's a wonderful scheme, as you're about to find out as I run through a million slides to tell you all about it. And I am always enthusiastic and happy to speak to anybody about the GA in accounting. So get in touch after the meeting if you want to know any more.
Perfect. Thank you very much. On to yourself, Laura, if that's okay.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I was so excited when Jamie invited me to join. Like Lindsay, very much a champion of graduate apprenticeship programmes. I work at Gallagher, have been here for just over 11 years, and in my current role managing our graduate apprenticeship programme for 3. So I work really closely with our graduate apprentice students as well as the managers of the teams that they work within, and our learning providers, obviously Robert Gordon University and ICAS. So I think we are now 3 years into offering our graduate apprenticeship programme and have been just amazed at what the programme offers both the students and the business. I myself am also a Robert Gordon graduate apprentice, currently in 3rd year studying business management, which has been a really nice perspective for me to kind of understand the perspective of not only an employer but also a student. So really glad to be here and hopefully answer some of your questions later.
Thank you so much. And on to yourself, Aaron, if that's okay.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron. I'm an audit associate at CT. I've just completed my 5-year GA route, so my coming into it, my path was definitely unconventional. Before finding this career in 2020, I'd done a degree in commercial music when I was a bit younger. Lived in Australia, done some world travel. I've had a varied work history, everything from data cataloging to working as a stonemason, even a stint in a bookies after my first degree. So I was looking for a profession that had real structure and a clear 5-year plan, and the GA route was offering exactly that. So that's what got me into it.
Perfect. So yeah, you'll be aware how much hard work's involved, but you're at the end now where you'll be starting to see all the benefits and all the hard work starting to pay off. Now we're really lucky. Lindsay has kindly offered to run us through the scheme from a technical point of view, letting us know about what that journey looks like from when you first start on the scheme right up until you've gone through the ICAS side of things as well.
Okay, thank you. Florian, the next slide, please. Thank you. I don't know how much the people who are here know about graduate apprenticeships in general, but ultimately all GA courses, graduate apprenticeship courses, are about obtaining a degree whilst you're in a work-based learning environment. So they're called work-based learning degrees. The idea is that the student is given credit for all of the skills and knowledge and technical expertise that they gain whilst they're in the workplace. Now, a GA in accounting has the added attraction of also incorporating a professional accounting qualification from ICAS. So essentially the qualification is in 2 parts. So there's an honours degree awarded by RGU and a professional qualification awarded by ICAS through one single programme. The degree that you get from RGU is a BA Hons Accounting, so exactly the same degree that you would get from a 4-year course where you attend in person on campus, a standard, honours degree course at any university in Scotland. And because it's kind of similar to that, then it's going to cover all the expected technical aspects of accounting, as well as encouraging students to develop skills in professionalism, in decision making and in leadership. Now, the early stages of the course will cover all the technical content that you'd expect to give you exemptions from the knowledge level of ICAS exams, and then the later stages will incorporate the skills and integration levels of the ICAS exams themselves. So there's a hybrid approach where some of the assessments are done through RGU in the early stages, and then as we get into stages 4 and 5, the students are actually sitting their ICAS exams as part of their qualification. The essence of the GA and how the GA will work effectively is that the course operates with all of the partners working together to enable the student to achieve the best possible outcome from their studies and from their work experience together. RGU and ICAS are providing learning support and materials, and the employer, the mentor, is expected to provide relevant work experience to develop both, yes, those technical skills, but also the other skills that an accountant needs in order to succeed in the workplace and be able to progress and add value in the workplace. And the student, the third party there, they have to work to make sure that they're meeting the expectations of both the employer and of their study partners, whether it's ICAS or RGU. Next slide, please. So why would you choose a GA rather than a traditional university route? I've already said that you're going to get a normal honours degree. Why you would choose a GA, I've given 3 kind of main reasons here. There are lots of reasons, just these 3 main ones. First of all, you're working alongside studying. Textbook learning is great. I love learning. I work in education. Textbook learning comes to life in the workplace though. And when you're working in a profession like accounting or studying to be an accountant, it's much easier to take concepts on board if you see them in action in the workplace. And so in the workplace, you're developing technical skills that will base your university work in real life. But you're also, alongside that, developing those essential professional skills in the workplace that you're definitely going to need to progress as you move through your career. And university learning can give you so much of the kind of skills and what used to be called the softer skills now are called meta skills. But ultimately, most of that is learned through practice. It's learned in the workplace. The second big reason why you would choose a GA is the middle one, earn while you learn. There's a lot of financial pressure on students. It was in the papers again this morning, talking about how much pressure, financial pressure students are on in Scotland and in England. And many of our full-time students have got part-time jobs that they're doing alongside study. And many of these part-time jobs are almost at the hours level of full-time jobs, which is a lot of pressure on an on-campus student. With a GA, your employment is not working at a bar, it's not working at a supermarket, it's working in employment that's relevant to your study. And so you're earning as you progress through the degree and through your ICAS qualification. And so the earning that you're doing is also relevant work experience, and it should help cut down on things like student debts and the financial pressure on students. And the last reason is the fast track to qualification. With a traditional route, you need to complete your degree and then find an employer to support your 3-year CA journey. With the GA, the employer is essentially committed to developing you and your potential from stage 1 of your degree right through to the end of your CA qualification. Now, this is going to be a faster process because you're gaining relevant working hours from day 1 and you're developing all the competencies that you need in order to meet all the requirements of your professional qualification. And on top of that, you've got less things to worry about. Once you've secured your GA position, you are in place for the next 5 years to just concentrate on getting your degree and getting your qualification and the relevant work experience. And so these 3 things together, I think, would be 3 key reasons why I think a GA is a really positive route for many students to choose. Next slide, please. This is an overview of the current course structure with RGU and ICAS. So this is stages 1, 2 and 3. So that takes you up to the ordinary degree level. The course has been designed, as I said, to maximise ICAS exemptions, but it also has to meet the requirements of the skills framework set out by Skills Development Scotland, because the GA sits under that umbrella. And in addition, obviously RGU is awarding a degree, and the course structure also needs to satisfy the quality standards for awarding an honours degree. And this is obviously just stages 1 to 3. This content is going to take you from basic accounting to ordinary degree level. And so there's coverage in a mixture of areas: accounting, financial accounting, management accounting, tax, finance, audit. In addition, there's also an introduction to management. It's actually the first module the students do, an introduction into the business environment. And we also include things like digital strategy and law in particular are key areas for an accountant to know that are not specifically accounting related, but are definitely part of that accounting syllabus you would expect students to know about. Next slide. And the final 2 stages, this is where we enter into our hybrid years and straight onto the ICAS qualification. Stage 4 is focused on completion of the academic requirement for the honours degree, and also then moving into stage 5 and completing the professional qualification. There's a lot more partnership with when the students come into stages 4 and 5, where we start to connect with ICAS, and ICAS are making sure that they're working with the employers to make sure the students are mapped into the ICAS timetable and can start to take on. They essentially join the standard ICAS classes with the normal workshop days and the ICAS exam. So that would be from ICAS Reporting and Performance 2 in stage 4 and ICAS Data Risk and Technology, and then the completion of the qualification in stage 5. Obviously, this will change. If ICAS makes any changes to their course, we would echo those changes in our degree structure. Next slide. The calendar can sometimes look a bit like a colourblind person's nightmare, but what this is trying to show is that for the students, it's a completely different approach to how we deal with a GA than how we would deal with on-campus students. On-campus students generally do 4 modules each semester, so they're doing 8 modules over the course of the year, 15 credits each. Other universities sometimes do 3 20-credit modules. The GA is set up differently, so the students do 30 credit modules, but they don't do them all at the same time. They do them one after the other. So the students are focused on one thing at a time. So this is the first year calendar. And so they'll start teaching next year on the 14th of September, and they will do the business environment module. You will see that they then get a week's study break here, 16th of November, and they sit the exam at the very end of the block. They then get 4 days rest and then we start again. So there's hardly any breaks in the course. But this idea of doing the consecutive modules is the model that seems to work best for GA students, because they're obviously managing a full-time job at the same time as this. And so it's just trying to make sure that they can focus in on one subject after the other and pass the assessment at the end of each block. So there's no waiting until the end of the year or anything to do the exams. They do the study, then do the exam. Any resits or deferred exams would be done the following August. Unfortunately, there is no place to fit it in before that. So the 4 modules run, and the semester essentially finishes when the students hand in their portfolio here on the 19th of July. If they've got no resits, that's them finished until they go into stage 2. If anyone has questions about the calendar afterwards, I'm sure Florian would be able to put this back up on screen, but as it is, we'll move on to the next slide. When I was thinking about disadvantages of the GA, this literally was the only one that I could think of. I think if you want to do degree level study and you want to be a CA, it's very hard to find disadvantages with this scheme, because there is no way any of that would be easy, regardless of whichever route that you took. If you choose the GA route, you just need to be prepared for hard work. If you're committed and you know what you want from your career, so if as an employer or as a student, if you know that you want the students to be you know, getting on with it and getting finished quickly, then the GA is going to work for you. But don't fool yourself that it's going to be easy. As I say, though, no route's easy. Think about the possibilities of the GA, though, as a means to get that qualification much faster and with less chance of a lot of student debt at the end, and with the support of an employer who really wants you to succeed and will mentor you through the process. And so, as I say, this is the only real disadvantage I can think of, but it's said tongue-in-cheek. Of course, it's going to be hard work. That's the end of the presentation that I had. I've obviously got loads more detail. If anyone is looking for it afterwards, please, as I said, get in touch.
Thank you, Lindsay. That was really, really good. Lots of good reasons to do the GA there, I would say. I think the one for me that I always think is one of the biggest benefits is the work-based learning. It's the fact that you're studying that theory, and then you've got that opportunity to really apply that in a professional setting. So everything you're learning, you're repeating over and over again in the workplace, and you're seeing how that all that knowledge comes to good use, and you see that's the reason you cover it. When we look at the CA qualification itself, we have what's called exemptions, and as Lindsay mentioned there, when you study on the RGU scheme, you're covering all the everything that you need to know for that first level of the CA qualification, so you come straight in at the second level. You'll get 1 day per week typically from your employer to cover this, before then going back into the workplace. I'm sure Laura and Aaron will be able to explain what that looks like from their side. Laura, I'll come to you first. It'd be great to hear what you feel the benefits of the scheme are, particularly from an employer point of view, why you chose the RGU GA for your students that come into the workplace.
Yeah, sure. So I think for Gallagher, it was a no-brainer. I think for us, we are looking at it as a talent pipeline. So our students come in, they're with us for those 5 years, and they're actually guaranteed a job at the end. So for us, we are, as Lindsay said, kind of supporting them from day one on their journey. So we're looking at this as kind of building our future leadership. So we're looking at this and we're really investing in the students and making sure that they have everything that they need to succeed. and kind of carry on that support throughout. I think from a student perspective, I think for someone that knows that they want to be a CA, I think it's, again, a no-brainer to come in and to have your eye on the prize, that at the end of this journey, you're going to have not only your honours degree, but your CA qualification. And then looking at someone that would be coming out of university at the same time, you're really kind of 5 years ahead. You have all of the kind of work experience where you've been applying everything that you're learning academically on the job day to day, and you're surrounded by people who can support that learning from your organisation's perspective. So one of the things that we've found with all of our students is they're very curious. They always ask a lot of questions, which is exactly what we want. We want people that come in and want to kind of thoroughly understand not just what they're doing, but why they're doing it. And I think that the GA is kind of set up perfectly for that. So I think that that's a really big benefit. I think touching on what Lindsay said too about the soft skills, I think that it's obviously excellent to be a great technical accountant. On the other side of that, you also have to have these soft skills of time management and different things like that become really critical, and I think is what makes our students stand out, that not only are they developing technically as they go through the programme, but they're also really open-minded to feedback around the different soft skills that they're developing. So we've got 3 different year groups currently, and can see at every level the soft skills is just that they're learning kind of just sets them apart from other students. So I would say that's a big one.
I think curiosity is a big one. So we've been doing quite a few of these careers conversation webinars, and people, when we speak to people and ask what makes a good CA, particularly when they're going through the learning stage, curiosity is one that comes up, because it's just keep asking questions. The more questions you're asking, the more you're learning, and you'll get to that goal.
Absolutely.
Aaron, I'll come to you next, if that's okay. So from the student perspective, what do you feel are the benefits to the GA? What attracted you it's 5 years ago, but if you can think back to when you first started, what attracted you to it?
Yeah, I think initially it was about finding something that, like I said before, was a 5-year plan and had structure, and it had, I would be working during it and I'd have a job at the end of it, which was different from my music degree. It was the complete opposite, thrown out and not really knowing what to do. But I think the standard benefit for me was, because I started in 2020, it wasn't until about 2021, 22, I think, Lindsay, until we actually got to meet the lecturers in my cohort as well. And so it was a good blend of independence, networking, and gave me a good financial start. And traveling up to Aberdeen was a highlight too. I enjoyed doing that, and it was a natural break from work too, and getting to meet my fellow students. I think we headed up 2 or 3 times a quarter for exams, campus days, induction sessions, and it was just meeting everyone from and all the different companies that they worked for, and learning about how long they've been there. Some people start there when they start the GA, others been there for a while, and all sorts of different people are taking part in it. And it's about learning from that, the different perspectives that everyone have on it too, and you learn a lot from everyone in your year, as opposed to my first time round. It was uni and everyone was new to it. Everyone was more or less out of school, so it was everyone starting from day one on same starting point. So that this was a bit different from that.
You touched on the job security side of it. I think that's another really important one. I think being a CA, having those CA letters after your name, it stands you out from the crowd. It shows that you've worked you've studied to the very highest level, and you're very well qualified to, and I think CAs are always in demand as part of that. It's a globally recognized qualification as well. We have 3,000 or so CAs out of the total membership working overseas in different parts of the world. And I think that goes to show just how globally recognized the CA is. Also, how high CAs go to work. Some of the work I do is reaching out to various businesses, and around the UK, and it's amazing when you look into just how high up some of the CAs go to work, from CFO and CEO positions, all the way down from there. I think another one, another benefit I think is great about this scheme is the flexibility of it. So not just the fact that we deliver the courses delivered in Aberdeen, but also in Edinburgh as well. But just how far and wide our the employers come from as well. So we've got employers who have hired students onto the scheme, and students currently going through the scheme from right up in Orkney, over in the Isle of Lewis and Isle of Skye, and then we've had students right down from the borders as well, all coming together to study. So you get really nice varied sort of personalities, I guess, coming onto the scheme.
Yeah.
Which adds.
Sorry, Jamie, I think when I went through the calendar, I probably didn't say that the majority of the delivery is online. So there are the modules essentially run for about 10 weeks, and in the main, the content is online with a weekly tutorial. So the students come online for an hour or up to 2 hours, depends on how. So the tax class, for example, is slightly longer. And over a lunchtime, so this shouldn't be too disruptive. And they come on campus for 1 day each block. So that was what Anna was talking about coming up for the on-campus day. And that's like a full day workshop, kind of similar to the model that ICAS would run anyway, where the students all come together for that day to do that community learning, which again, as was said before, is adding more than just the technical content. It's that ability to speak to your peers, to learn from them, to create these networks that are going to be with you probably for the rest of your career. And so I think that flexibility with it being online, and then also, as Jamie was saying, we do the on-campus days in Edinburgh and Aberdeen, and you would choose which you want to send your students to depending on where you're based or whatever suits your organisation. But most of the students get a lot out of the on-campus days. It gives them a break from work and a chance to really focus in on some aspect of that particular module. Sorry to interrupt, Jamie.
No, I covered everything. That was a useful addition. I think that's we've covered most of the benefits. I think definitely, as has been mentioned, it's that sort of fast tracked way through to the CA. You know, someone coming onto the RGU GA scheme, by the time they qualify, coming through ICAS and getting their work experience under their belt, they could be qualified as a CA, whereas their counterparts who've gone to university, it'd be another sort of year or two beyond that before they reach that stage. So that's another great addition. Lindsay, any other advantages you think you wanted to add from there? I know you covered quite a few in your slides, but anything else from yourself?
No, I think the earning and learning together, I think are key aspects for many students. As Aaron was saying as well, that we have some younger students, our school leavers, but we've also got students like Aaron who perhaps had done other things beforehand, and so that mixture of experience coming in actually enriches the whole community. I would say that you've got people coming in with different perspectives, and I think for the youngsters, it's quite nice for them to learn from the older people, and the older people actually struggle maybe getting back into study. They've kind of gone out of it a wee bit, having left school, and I think that working together, I think it really helps everybody. And we do put them into study groups, which they can use or not use. I know that Laura uses her study group quite effectively, and a lot of the accounting students do as well. They find it really supportive.
Brilliant, thank you very much. The next thing I want to cover just a little bit, I think some of the people in the audience today would like to hear what the recruitment process would be like to get onto an RGU GA scheme. So Laura and Aaron, I was wondering if you could maybe let us know just sort of high level what that might look like for Gallagher's and CT, any sort of useful tips I guess you would have for people in the audience should they be applying. Laura, did you want to come in first?
Yeah, sure. So our recruitment process, I would say, is quite structured. We try and keep it to be quite transparent. So you would start off with your online application, I suppose pretty standard across the board. From there, we would shortlist candidates. So if you're shortlisted, you are invited to take part in a webinar, kind of similar to this, where we're trying to provide as much information as possible to the candidates to make sure that we're the right fit for them, and equally, somewhere that they can see themselves. I think that's really, really important. So from the webinar, we would then invite candidates in for a relatively informal interview. So can completely appreciate, obviously there's always going to be nerves involved in any type of interview, but I think for us, we try and keep everything really transparent, make sure that the candidates know exactly where they are in the process and exactly what's kind of comes next. So the interviews are carried out in our Glasgow office. So it would be myself and our head of general accounting, and kind of try and keep the interviews quite conversational, trying to learn a bit more about the candidates and, you know, their personalities. I think for us, culture is just as important as academics. We want to know that the students are going to be a good fit. So I think just try to get to know the students a little bit more as much as you can in that short space of time. Other than that, we carry out a numerical and a verbal reasoning test. So we send those links and they're completed from home. So they're about kind of 15-20 minutes per test. And we're using that as just some additional information. You can completely bomb those tests and you're still going to come for an interview. Just trying to gather as much information as possible. And then from there, we would look to give out the kind of offers quite quickly. I would say that our process is probably, again, quite structured, and try and keep it as quick as and painless as possible.
Aaron, from a CT side, are you able to give us a high level of
Yeah,
what
sure.
that recruitment process looks like?
Yeah. For me, it was a case of online application, quite similar, and then I had one interview, actually, just one. I think there's just one now for the apprenticeships. We do look for strong, like, academic results in school. We're really looking for someone with quality of character, and for me, my other background before, I didn't really have any accounting background before. Kind of speaks to the fact that you don't need to traditionally have an accounting hire to get in, but as long as you have strong hire results that are relevant, we look for people more that are showing that they can commit to something else too, other interests, sports, part-time work, creative interests. In the interview, it's like showing curiosity. We want to see that someone has discipline to stick to a long-term plan, because that's really what it's all about for us. So yeah, it's quite a simple process, I think. So, but yeah, 5 years ago for me, so not the most relevant now, but yeah, quite similar, I think.
5 years is nothing. That's another thing that comes up quite a lot as well. I would say when I speak to employers and ask them what makes a good CA, it's that combination. It's the personality. It's someone who's able to be quite outgoing, someone who's going to be able to speak with clients, with confidence, but also having that background that they're going to be able to do the work to the right level. Laura, I'm going to come back to you if that's okay. You've talked about the students coming onto the scheme. How have Gallagher found the scheme so far? I know you've got 3 crops of students, I guess, cohorts of students that have gone through. How do you find it? What's your experience so far? And obviously, I know you're a GA yourself, so from that side is good as well.
Yeah, I would say resoundingly positive. I think that initially, so again, we started the programme 3 years ago, and I think that across the team, I don't think people expected the students to come in and offer so much so quickly. So I think that we are predominantly higher school leavers. So I think that there was an expectation that they were going to take a while before they were really valuable within the team. So I think that was kind of a myth that was dispelled quite quickly. I think that overall a really positive impact. So our students rotate throughout our Global Accounting Centre. They're on various different teams, and again, just resoundingly positive response from the team managers. And I think quite surprisingly to some managers, the students are kind of valuable to the team and a really useful resource within the team from kind of day one, bringing new ideas to the table, lots of process improvement. So we're obviously very process driven working in accounting, and I think that they've come in with kind of fresh mindset and kind of looked outside of the box and kind of improved a lot of processes that otherwise may still be the same to this day. So I think overall, a positive experience.
And I think it helps to pay you a bit of a compliment. I think your the support team from yourself and your colleagues there that your students get, I think that helped them so much as well, having they've got the support at RGU, but also from yourself all the way through the process.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think that we have found the support from RGU and ICAS fantastic so far. I think that that's something that we weren't obviously familiar with before we joined, and obviously have been really working very closely together. And I think building a kind of nice relationship as the learning providers. And I think other than that, within our department, we do offer different levels of support for the students, understanding, as we've spoken about, it's not an easy feat. There's a lot of hard work involved. There's a lot of juggling involved, a lot of determination required. So I think for us, we just want to make sure that we're there to support the students. So I think for us, and I think quite similar to other organisations, Aaron may be able to add on from his experience, but we, from day one, the students will have a buddy in place, so someone that's their kind of day-to-day contact for any queries or any questions that come up. And then other than that, they have a mentor within their team. So a mentor is typically someone who is at a manager level, someone that's qualified and has experience within the business. And they work quite closely with our students on their work-based learning. So that's the kind of tasks that they're given from the university. And they have to come in and kind of apply it within Gallagher. So the mentors are there to support them with that. Aside from that, I obviously work very closely with the students, and we've taken the kind of recommendations on board from RGU to make sure that we are having regular check-ins. So I have fortnightly check-ins with our students, and the check-ins that I'm having may be a bit different than the ones that their managers or their mentors are having with them. So I'm kind of looking at them as a kind of overall picture. Are they doing okay university-wise? Are they doing okay work-wise? And then just overall, it's obviously a lot involved, and your personal life is going to come into play. Things that are going on in your personal life will impact how you're performing in work and how you're performing in university. So I think that it's just trying to understand where the students are at and to make sure that you're kind of meeting them there, which is what we're kind of striving to do. So yeah.
It's great. Aaron, from your side, as a student, did you find you've always had the support that you needed going through? Interested to know how you find the support, if just from fellow students, and if that was useful to you as well.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, quite similar to Laura. Yeah, I've always had a RGU mentor. I think we had learning plans when I was going through. I always had to check that and work together with those. But yeah, always I think it's important to have someone separate from, say, your line manager or your peer manager or something like that. Someone who's looking after your progress and checking in with you to see that you're even keeping up with the materials across that 10 weeks and not falling behind, attending the lectures regardless. And yeah, it was always good to have. I had a few different mentors. All of them were really valuable to me, and they all cared about all the things I've just said. They were making sure I was keeping up and doing my best, which definitely helped and worked.
I think one other thing, Jamie, sorry to interrupt, something that I would mention from a student perspective and from working with our students is RGU, from our experience so far, the lecturers that are on the graduate apprenticeship courses are very familiar with the struggles that the students are facing. So if something does come up, whether that be conflicting priorities or something going on in your personal life, you're not able to meet the expectations of the work-based learning or whatever it is, the lecturers, I think with communication, is always key just across the board, but I think with communication, the lecturers are always very supportive and always will work with you to kind of understand what you're facing and to work around that. So I think that that's something that we've seen time and time again that is really, really great to see, I suppose, from the university.
Absolutely. I think another sort of testament to all the great support is the retention rate within the on the scheme as well. The number of students that start out on that scheme and stay on all the way and to the qualification stage. I think that goes to show that it's a great setup. Lindsay, did you want to add anything on the support side of things?
Yeah, just to say that as the students are going through each block, there's generally a module coordinator who is the first point of contact. Just like Laura was saying, if the student needs any help, tends to be technical help. I'm always in the background as the course leader, and we've got a dedicated admin who will help with any forms that need to be filled in. On top of that, the students have what's called a success coach, who is a guy called Liam Waldron, and he works specifically with the GA students. He works based within study skills, but he will meet with the students after 5 o'clock if they want to speak to somebody who is completely out with their course, but at the university. So Liam can provide all sorts of different kinds of support, whether it's study skills or just a listening ear. He feels like an independent person, but still understands the GA. And on top of that, the mentors that Aaron and Laura have both mentioned, they also have a coach. The actual name of the role has escaped me just now, but it's Sam McKinstry. So Sam supports the mentors. So if you're an RGU GA mentor and you're not sure about any of the processes, then you have someone at the university that you can ask to make sure that you're also following what you're meant to be doing. So, you know, I mean, it is a whole team working together, and not just at RGU, but working with the employers as well to make sure that the students are supported. But as Laura said, I love that. It is all about communication. Nobody can act if we don't know. So it's again, encouraging the students to speak up as early if they're falling behind with their modules, or if there's something going on that they're not going to be able to sit their exams, then, you know, let us know and we will do everything we can, because there's not one party, in whether it's ICAS or the employer or RGU, that does not want the student to succeed. There might be a delay, but they will get there in the end. And 5 years is not that long. If it turns into 5.5, it's fine. It'll be fine.
Brilliant, thank you. Just looking towards the, you know, thinking about the qualification as well. We've talked about some of the skills that make a good CA. We talked about curiosity and things like that. It'd be good to know, Lindsay, if I could come to you first. Any other skills that you would pick out for the candidates coming in that would give them a great start?
I think what I would say is that there are entry requirements, and the employers will have entry requirements. It's usually set about, for RGUs, 4Bs at higher, but we are very keen to widen access, and we will look at alternative qualifications and work experience as well, as I'm sure the employers will. The question is often asked, do you have to have a higher in accounting, or do you have to have a higher in maths? The answer to that is, from RGU's perspective, is probably no. You need to be comfortable with numbers. So you need to be, what we would just say is numerate. So what we're looking for is somebody that's comfortable with business maths, not trigonometry. Trigonometry is probably not going to help you that much in accounting, but good business acumen and business maths will help you. So, you know, dealing with percentages and addition and subtraction, things like that, basic things in maths. In terms of traits and skills, a few of them have been mentioned already. Determination, I think, is so vital. The students have to be self-starters. They have to be able to manage their own workload, whether it's studying and working. So that's a key thing. Organisation, the ability to work hard, and I know you were speaking about curiosity, but I would also say communication is absolutely vital. Now, if you've got school leavers, you might find that they are shyer at the beginning, but what we're looking for is the potential to be able to be more confident as you learn more things and get to know the team a bit better. But it's looking for that potential in a youngster to give them that chance, no matter what their background would be.
Fantastic. I think we're running out of time already. We've got about 15 minutes left. So there's one more question I'd like to ask before then we'll go over to the Q&A and see what questions have come in. And it's just around advice for those considering the GA. Laura, if I could come to you first, do you have any sort of any last bits of advice for those that might be thinking about it at the moment?
Yeah, so I think for me, the advice that I would give is be sure about what you want to do. Go away, really think about it. Obviously, it's two completely different paths to go to a traditional university or to do a graduate apprenticeship programme. So I think weigh up the pros and cons, get advice from your peers, your parents, whatever your support network is. If you have access to someone who is a CA or has worked in the field, definitely get input from them. They'll be able to give you some insight into, what a day in the life of might look like, and the challenges and kind of opportunities that you can look forward to. I think for us, we are really looking for candidates who are sure about what they want to do. This isn't going to be a walk in the park, as we've mentioned. It's so much support available, but for someone to be sure that this is the career path that they want to go down, I would say is probably really important. I think one other thing, thinking back to my younger self, is don't just copy what your friends are doing. I think that is really important to have an understanding of what you want to do and to kind of follow that path rather than kind of copying what your peers are doing.
Yeah, great points there. Great points. Aaron, for yourself, having gone through it, what advice would you share with anyone thinking about getting started on the GA with RGU and ICAS?
Yeah, just to embrace the structure of it. It feels like a long road at the start. If you're someone who thrives on having a plan, seeing it through, there really isn't a better way to do the CA route, in my opinion. But my sort of past jobs that maybe I didn't think were relevant at the start, I realized as time went on, they were the things that gave me the work ethic that I needed to succeed. So that there might be things already that you have in you that help you with this. And as well as that, using the support from RGU, I can back up what Laura said earlier about all the lecturers too. They're very much exceptional people, and using the support from your firm as well, staying disciplined with your study, and not forgetting to keep up the things that you love outside of work, and keeping up those little bits of normal life to keep the momentum up, and just trying to enjoy as much of it as you can. But studying hard is the main part. So
yeah, work-life balance is so important, especially as you say, with all the work that comes in. I was speaking to a GA, and she was in her first year at the moment, and she's doing loads of runnings, doing marathons and things like that. So she's got her own personal targets as well as her academic targets, which is great. Lindsay, anything from yourself there?
Maybe it's looking at the end product. So, if you're looking at the GA, you're looking at becoming a CA with ICAS. When I graduated as a CA at the graduation ceremony, the ICAS president had told us that the CA was the passport. That was the phrase they used, a passport to the rest of your career. And I think that has, with the cohort that I trained with, albeit it was a long time ago, they've all gone different paths. Some stayed with the same firm and progressed through. Some took lots of different roles, getting lots of different aspects of their career. Some stayed in practice, some went into tax, corporate finance, treasury management. The CA qualification opens the door, and all you need to do really is take the chance and walk through it, whether it's through the GA that we're talking about today, or whether it is through a traditional route, doing the 4 years and then going on to do ICAS at the end. But as Laura said, be sure this is what you want to do. You don't have to end up as a bookkeeper. There are many career opportunities available to somebody with a CA qualification. It just widens your horizons and gives you so much opportunities.
Brilliant, thank you so much. We'll turn to the questions now. The first one I've got here, which I'm happy to start with, what kinds and size of employers recruit to the programme, and when do adverts go up? So in terms of types of employers that recruit onto the scheme, it's very varied. We have your the traditional accountancy practices of all sizes. We from the biggest, the big four, right down to very small practices, as mentioned, over in some of the islands and in more rural parts of Scotland. But also from industry as well, we've got the likes of Gallagher's and Laura, and we've got some other examples of that as well. In terms of where to find the vacancies when they do come up, I would keep an eye on what we call our Become a CA recruitment page. becomeaca.org.uk. You can access that. You can sign up to notifications as well. So we send out a periodic candidate newsletter where we highlight some of the vacancies that are live at that point. So please do keep an eye on that. The different companies do recruit at different times of the year. Laura, did you want to come in and maybe let us know when for Gallagher's when that would be?
Yeah, sure. So we've actually taken a different approach each year that we've recruited. So probably not the best example. We have already recruited. We went in November for our 2026 intake. Prior to that, I think we went in February the year before. So I think for us, we predominantly use apprentice.scot, I believe, and you can filter it on GAs and you can filter it down. So I think that's one of the main sites that we would use.
Aaron, do you know CT? Do you know when they typically do the recruitment cycle?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was around April, May that I was looking. So it was May and then June, July interview to start off in that September, the start of the what's the word? The year for RGU, start of their year, so academic year.
Academic year.
So yeah, I'd say like over summer would be the right time to be looking, for this specific role.
One of the things I should probably have mentioned right at the very beginning in my introduction is that it's of course it's Scottish Apprenticeship Week this week, which is the main reason for wanting to run this webinar today. So I think now is probably a time when some employers might choose to be launching their vacancies. So definitely a time to be keeping an eye out on some of these jobs boards. Let's have a look at this next question. Someone says, sorry, they don't know if they've maybe missed this, but what would the qualifications be expected to get onto the course? Laura, Lindsay, I don't know if you want to come in on that one.
Yeah, 4Bs at higher for the university, but if you don't have that, then we look at the full application. So, for example, the personal statement does carry a lot of weight, as both other panel members have said. We are looking for a well-rounded person who looks as though they can handle work and study at the same time. And we're looking for a skill set. So, any leadership roles that youngsters do, of which I have had my eyes opened as to how many leadership roles young people are willing to take on. It does make a big difference. If they've got a diploma or if they've done other apprenticeships, a foundation or a modern apprenticeship, that always goes in the student's favour as well. So, as I say, the standard entry requirement is 4Bs. As a university, that's what we would say. But if your candidate doesn't have that, it doesn't mean to say we're going to say no. And that we would definitely be trying to open the doors to a wider variety of student. It maybe didn't have success at school, but is still potentially a great CA in the making.
Laura, I think you had mentioned it in your when you were talking about it, but it's much the same for yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say much the same. So the 4Bs obviously is great. Typically looking for math and English to be included. Aside from that, I think we'd mentioned it earlier on, higher accountancy isn't required. We're very aware that it's not offered across all schools, so that's not something that's necessarily required. I think for us, as far as the actual skills coming in, we appreciate that it's typically for our candidates a lot of their first ever interviews. So we again are looking, as Lindsay mentioned, for them to kind of draw from experience of their kind of extracurricular activities, whether that's a sport, a hobby, anything, all of that. You'd be surprised at how applicable it is. So I think I would say, yeah, I would make sure that you're kind of selling yourself beyond your academia, I would say.
Thank you. Aaron, I'm going to come to you for this next question, if that's okay. What does a normal week look like for a graduate apprentice?
Good question. For me, it was Friday was my study day for it the whole way through. So 1 out of the 5 working days would be studying, catching up on the materials from the lecture or preparing for next week. But yeah, I'd say the other 4 days, mix of client work, technical problem solving, taking ownership of a piece of audit field work at the start. That would be a lot of hands-on learning, assisting, doing individual things, but through the years, like, it's a quick learning curve, and your responsibility increases. So in the last 2 years, I've been responsible for delivering full audits and preparing accounts. Where if you told me that at the start, I probably would have been a bit overwhelmed. But at the start, yeah, it would be just assisting, helping, lots of different exposure to lots of different things, lots of different audits, lots of different pieces of work that just help you learn, really. So yeah, 4 days at work and a day of study as well to catch up on the education side of it.
Great, thank you. Well, we're almost out of time. It would be great if you could leave us a rating for today's webinar. There's going to be a short question poll appearing on your screens any moment now. It would be great if you could just take a moment to answer that question. And in the meantime, I just want to say a massive thank you for our 3 panelists today. Lots of really interesting points and covered some really great detail. And I'm sure everyone in the audience today would agree that's been of great benefit. A reminder that there will be a recording as well that will get sent out if there's any bits you want to go back and look over, and we'll be sharing that again on our website and on our social media channels too. There we go. There's the question coming up right now. If everyone could answer that would be of great benefit for us. So yeah, once again, massive thank you to everyone that joined us. I do hope it's been helpful for everyone here. Thank you very much, and until next time, goodbye.
Thanks very much, Jamie.
Thanks.